This gymnastics video is going to look at the 5 main shapes that we use. You'll be able to do each one of these shapes either on the floor or standing up, or you can do it as a jump. So we're going to list all 5 shapes that we're going to look at and how to do them either on the floor, standing up, or as a jump. Feel free to pause the video, practice each one before you move on to the next one. So we'll start off with a nice easy one. Here's a stretch. So your feet nice and tight together and your hands are up by your ears. Okay, you should feel your arms touching your ears. Okay, you know then your arms are nice and straight. To do this as a jump, you're going to swing your arms, jump up, get into our stretch position, try and point your toes when you're in the air and then land with our feet together. So that is a stretch jump. Stretch position from standing, and you can do this one on the floor. Feet together, point your toes, and stretch our hands on the floor so our arms are touching our ears. Our next shape that we're going to look at is a tuck shape. So a tuck shape from standing, again, feet together, and we can just squat down, bring our knees nice and close to our chest. To do this as a jump, again, you're going to use your arms to help you swing upwards, bring your knees up to your chest in the air, and then land with your feet together. And to do it on the floor, you're going to lie either on your back, bring our knees up to our chest, or you can do it from kneeling and bring our chest up to our knees. So that is the tuck shape. Plenty of ways you can do that one. You can probably even do it on your side as well, and bring your knees up to your chest. We also do a tuck roll, which is sometimes called an egg roll as well, where you start off on in your side position as a tuck, and then you roll yourself over. Our third position, our third shape, is going to be a star. So again, starting with our hands and feet together, and to do it as a jump, we'd go up into the air and then bring our feet back together. So it's a star shape from standing. Make sure our arms are always nice and straight and our fingers are pointed. As a jump, feet together as we land, and obviously on the floor, nice and easy on your back or on your front. Point your toes, stretch your arms, point your fingers. This is a star shape on the floor. Our next position we are going to look at is a pike. So a pike, again, feet nice and close together, and you just reach forward and try and reach forward as far as possible whilst keeping those legs straight. As a pike jump, you're going to jump up, jump forward, and lift your legs forward and try and reach out in front of you. Again, landing with our feet together. And on the floor, you either do a pike position from sitting or pike position on our backs. Our final shape that we're going to look at is a straddle. So very much like the pike, however, our legs are going to be fairly wide and you'll be able to stand and reach down your legs. You can also do it as a jump. Starting with our feet together, you'll jump out. Both our legs are going to come out nice and wide and forward, reaching forward over our legs. Again, landing with our feet together. We can also do this one on the floor, from sitting, with our feet together, so feet nice and wide, and our arms reaching down. You can also reach forward, and again, on our backs. Make sure your legs stay nice and straight when they're in the air. Point our toes, hands reaching forward. So just to quickly recap, our 5 shapes are stretch, star, tuck, pike, and a straddle. You can do each one of these shapes from standing, on the floor, or in the air. Practice each one in each position. Get ready for the next video. This gymnastics warm-up video is called Feeling Flexible. It's going to go through 5 different warm-up movements, which you'll repeat 10 times. I'll show you each movement and give you its name. Once you've repeated all 5 movements, give yourself a short rest, and then you can either repeat the 5 movements again in a circuit. You can keep repeating these over a 5-minute period, a 10-minute period, or so on. So our first movement are seated pikes. So you're going to start off either on a bench. You could also maybe do this on the floor as well. So start off extended, then you're going to bring your knees up to your chest, and then straighten back out again. Remember, we're going to do these 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. Our next one is called roll and release. So on our back, we are going to lift our knees up to our chest, hands on our knees, and then we're going to stretch out our bodies. So nice and straight, but not let our hands or our feet touch the floor. Repeating this again 10 times. Our third exercise is a standing lunge. So to start off, feet together, one big step forward and lunge forward. Pause each time. Our legs should come into a right angle shape as we go down. Don't quite let your knee touch the floor. Again, repeat it 10 times. Pause and stretch just for a second on each step. Our fourth exercise, show me a leg raise. So, starting off in a high plank position, and all you're going to do, make sure you're nice and straight, is kick your leg back behind you. Our final one, takes a little bit longer, is you're going to lie down on your front, and then just back extensions. So hands out in front, and all you're going to do is lift your feet and your hands off the floor, hold it for 5 seconds, and then down, have a rest, 2 or 3 seconds, and then back up, and back down, rest, and keep repeating that. Last exercise, 10 goes. I say give yourself a rest, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, up to you, depending on your fitness ability, and then repeat the circuit. At least do the circuit 2 or 3 times, or give yourself a time limit of how many times you can complete the circuit in a given time frame. So your time frames could either be 5, 10 or 15 minutes. You can do this for most of your warm-ups as well, not just for your gymnastics. It's a great one to make sure we stay flexible. Works on our core, so our tummy muscles, our lower back muscles, which we use for every activity that we compete in. This activity is called jumping dice. Obviously for this one you're going to need a dice or a number generator, which will give you numbers 1 to 6. Quite simply, what you have to do is try and eventually roll all the numbers between 1 and 6. For each number you roll, there is a challenge. You'll do each jump 10 times. If you want to make this one harder for yourself, you can increase the amount of jumps that you have to do, or you can compete against someone else who has their own dice, and you have to try and get all the numbers on the dice first. So, if you roll a number 1, all you have to do is 10 pencil jumps. So pencil jump, if you remember, was a stretch jump. Just that, okay? So you'd have to do that 10 times, as quickly as you can. But obviously remember, if you go too quickly, you might get really tired before you get to the end of this challenge. So number 1 is a stretch jump. Number 2 is a star jump. So remember, starting off, hands and legs together, out and landing back in. That counts as 1 jump. So number 2 is a star jump. Number 3 are tuck jumps. So if you remember to do a tuck jump, feet together, we're going to jump up, bring our knees, both our knees up to our chest, and then land feet together. So number 3 is a tuck jump. Number 4 is a half turn. So as you jump up, you're going to turn. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Using our arms will help us turn in the air and make sure we get enough height that we land facing the right way. If you roll on number 5, you have to do a full turn. 1, 2. When you're in the air, you really try and twist your body around nice and quickly and jump up higher in the air to give yourself more time to turn than land facing the right way. So number 5 is a full turn. And number 6 are squat jumps. So do a squat jump, down nice and low, and then jump up. Down nice and low, jump up. So from side on, in a squat position, and then jump up. So that's a 6. So just quickly recap. For number 1, stretch jump. Number 2, star jump. Number 3, tuck jump. Number 4 is a half turn. Number 5 is a full turn. And then number 6 is a squat jump. Remember, you have to try and get all 6 numbers to finish this challenge. So even though you want to go quickly, bear in mind you could be there for quite a long time doing each one of these jumps. It'd be really good fun if you compete against someone else and see who can get all 6 numbers first and complete all the jumps. This gymnastics video is going to focus on balancing. A balance is simply your body in a still position for at least 3 to 5 seconds. You must show control of your body position so you're not waving away in the air. You must show good control. What I want you to think of now, so feel free to pause this video as much as you want between activities that I set. So your first activity, I'm going to ask you to balance on a number of body parts. I want you to think about how many if you're using that amount of body parts on the floor. So your first challenge, can you balance using 4 body parts touching the floor? I'll give you my nice and easy one. You could go into a plank position, making sure my arms, my legs, all nice and straight, and holding that in a good still position. Quickly think of one yourself. Try and do a different one from what I do each time. Can you now think of a balance using 2 body parts touching the floor? Nice and easy one is obviously standing. I know you can all do that. So can you think of one which uses different parts of your body? So try and think of a balance which you only uses 1 foot or no feet at all. What I might do is using 1 hand and my bottom. Your next challenge is, can you balance with 1 body part on the floor? Now you can use big body parts such as your stomach, your back, you could do a shoulder stand, or you could use a smaller part of your body. So I'm going to do an arabesque balance, where I'm going to take a little step forward and balance on 1 foot. Try and challenge yourself as much as possible, but remember to hold your balance still 3 to 5 seconds. Your next challenge. Can you balance with 3 body parts touching the floor? So for this, you could use 2 hands and a foot. It's a nice easy one. You can use larger parts of your body and then 2 smaller parts, so points and patches. So for example, to extend on from my last one, 2 hands and the bottom. Our final one, can you balance with 5 body parts touching the floor? So here's my example. I'm going to use 2 knees, 2 hands, and a head. I'll hold that still for 5 seconds before moving on. Right, our next part that I want you to do is see if you can pick 3 balances out of the ones you've just thought of. You might be able to think of more as well, and can you create a sequence out of those balances? I want you to pick a balance which is high, a balance which is about medium height, and a balance which is low to the floor. You can do it in reverse order if you'd rather, but I want to see if you can link and flow each balance from one to the other. Think about extension of your arms and legs and tension to make sure they're nice and strong and your core is in a strong position to keep you nice and still. Other things to bear in mind is to challenge yourself to your ability, but if you can't hold that balance still for 3 to 5 seconds, then think of a different one you can do. Once you've practiced your 3 balances and your sequence, it would be great to show someone at home your sequence, your mini routine that you've just come up with. This final gymnastics video is called number sequence. For this again, you're going to need a dice or a number generator that gives you numbers 1 to 6. You're going to roll the dice 6 times. Each number is going to represent a movement or a balance or a roll. So, after you rolled your 6, you would have come up with a 6 movement sequence. So if you roll number 1, you have to form a star jump. If you roll a number 2, you have to do a roll. Now with your rolls, you could either do a stretch roll where you're on the floor, making sure your arms and legs are nice and straight, and you roll over 2 times roughly. You could also do a forwards roll or backwards roll, as long as your ability, making it safe, and the flooring that you're on as well is also safe. Another roll you could do is a tuck roll or an egg roll, where you're on your side, bring your knees up to your chest and roll over again. Just do two or 3 times, given the amount of space that you've got. So just quickly recap on those 2. Number 1 is a star jump. Number 2 is a type of roll. Number 3, I want you to do a turn. Your turn can either be a half turn or a full turn. So a half turn, remember, is just 180 degrees and back round, or you could do a whole turn all the way round. If you roll a number 4, I want you to do a tuck jump. So if you remember a tuck jump, using your arms, give yourself lots of height in the air to allow yourself to bring both your knees up to your chest and then land with your feet on the floor. Landing with your feet together. Your next one, if you roll number 5, you have to do a balance. Now challenge yourself with this balance, but make sure you're able to hold your balance for 3 to 5 seconds. You're able to hold it as still as possible and show good extension and tension with your arms and your legs. And finally, if you roll a number 6, I want you to think of a way of travelling. Now, your travel you should do for about 3 steps. So for example, you could do skipping, you could do a hop, you could do a side gallop, just to name a few, or you could do some walking lunges. Or you could do some lower movements to the floor as well. Not everything has to be on your feet. You don't always have to go forwards, you can do backwards or sideways. So be really creative with the way that you travel. So just to quickly recap, you're going to roll the dice 6 times. If you roll a number 1, you're going to do a star jump. If you roll a number 2, you can do any type of roll that you can do which is safe. If you roll a number 3, you can do a turn. If you roll a number 4, you can do a tuck jump. Number 5 is a balance. Think about different heights, different body parts you can use. And number 6 is a way of travelling. Once you've got all 6, feel free to write them down so you can remember them, practice them, and it'd be great to either see a video of you performing your final sequence or do a performance in front of your family members at home.